cord. Is my mic on? Because that happened to me again the other day. Alrighty. It happens more than I wish it did. What is going on, everybody? My name is Dakota, and welcome back to Kotascologne. And today we're going to be reviewing a fragrance that I have been trying to get my hands on since it was released. And that is going to be Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Golden Oud. I don't know why. I'm not the biggest fan of oud, if anyone has ever watched the channel long enough. But for some reason, I've been trying to get my hands on this because I've wanted to try this like crazy. And this is a Middle Eastern exclusive, but discounters in the US get stuff like this from time to time. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on one. So this is going to be a full, I haven't done anything with this. So this is going to be a full unboxing, first impressions, and maybe mid-review. We'll figure that out as we go. Stick around. So normally I don't do like unboxing type stuff like that anymore. But I figured for this one might be special enough, it might be worth the go. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this. Oh my goodness. They have got this thing taped up. Well, they mean business on this. Doesn't help, I can't really use my thumb. I don't know if y'all can tell or not. I got a big old bandage on it. Burned the heck out of my hand this morning. Go ahead and throw that off to the side. And as far as boxes go, this one's slightly damaged. Thanks USPS for that. All in all, this is your standard Paco Rabanne box. So it has, pretty much what it's going to look like. It's got the golden oud stuff there. Nothing on the sides. Almost dropped it. Nothing on the sides. QR code on the back. It says conscientious and vegan. So apparently this is a vegan formula as well. And then the bottom just has another QR code. The please recycle. This has been tested. Stuff like that. And I haven't done batch codes in a while, but for everybody wondering, the batch code on this one is 31291. So that'll be the batch code. And now for the important side. Oh, there we go. Oh, this does look nice. You got that big emerald right there. So, see how many. Very sweet right off just smelling on the nose here. So I'll show off the atomizer. Go ahead and get down at a low angle on this one. Took 2, 3, about 3 sprays to get all the way to it. And the initial, what immediately comes into the air is very leathery. This is a very leathery, dominant, strong fragrance. Because I know that at first initial spray, what I got hit with is a big wave of leather. You can definitely tell there's a lot of oud in here. I mean, it is called golden oud, so I would expect nonetheless. For people that's not familiar, oud is agarwood or something similar to that. I could be completely mistaken, but that's how I've always perceived it at. It's a strong oud fragrance, but oddly enough, it's not a big woody fragrance right off the nose. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple sprays on there. Hopefully this smells amazing. Like I said, I haven't watched any reviews on this. If it's a fragrance that's new, I always want to test it for myself. I don't like watching reviews or other stuff on a fragrance that I'm going to review because I don't like to get an unbiased opinion. I like to do the most straightforward opinion and honest review that I possibly can do. Oh yeah, so this is very earthy. It's got a lot of oud going on here. The leather on it's here. But for being a Middle Eastern fragrance, some of the times on those, they'll get very sharp. They'll be harsh. This one actually has a pretty smooth blend. And it's kind of tripping me up just a little bit because Paco Rabanne is notoriously known for that infamous bubblegummy, sweet, more youthful side of things. And this isn't that. This isn't very sweet. It's not bubblegummy at all. It's just kind of a different direction that I'm not used to them having. Alrighty, so now that I've got the initial unboxing out of the way, I got the fragrance on my skin. I'm letting this dry down a little bit. So I'm going to get this bottle spinning up. We're going to get into the note breakdown, and I'll see you here in a minute. Alrighty, as we get this bottle spinning up, we are going to dive straight into the top notes. The top notes on this are going to be nutmeg, saffron, black pepper, and bergamot. And when you first spray this, you get just a small hint of nutmeg. You get a lot of that pepper, but you don't get much, if any, of the saffron or bergamot, unfortunately. The middle notes on this are going to be iris, guaran balsam, cedarwood, and labdanum, with the base notes drying down to a leather, agarwood, oud, sandalwood, and patchouli. And as I've been able to tell so far, the most that you get out of this, you get heavy oud, you get big leather, you get a little bit of nutmeg, and you get a lot of that black pepper. But as many different woods and stuff like that are in this, I'll be surprised if it doesn't develop a much more leathery, woody undertone as it gets into the deep dry down. But we'll just have to wait and see about that. So that's going to get the note breakdown wrapped up. Let me get y'all flip back around and we'll get back into it. Alrighty, so I gave this one a little bit of time to dry down because when you first spray this, it's incredibly smooth. You get some leather off the top of it, but it does not take much time at all. It's only been about 20 minutes. And on the dry down on this, you immediately get a lot of earthiness to it. You get almost kind of like a dirtiness to it, but at the same time, it doesn't smell unpleasant, but it doesn't smell like I thought it would. I really expected this to be more of like a sweeter style of oud. When you first spray it, it comes out very smooth, very clean, but still like oud leather type. But the more this dries down, it starts to develop a little bit of a harshness, and it starts to have a little bit of that like dirty, earthy vibe to it. And it's got a little bit of a spiciness to it. So as it starts to dry down, some of the leather fades off just a little bit. It picks up a little bit of spice. There is black pepper in this, and it is pretty dominant by what I can tell so far. But being this is the first time I've ever worn this fragrance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step away from the review. I'm going to give this about an hour to try to get a deep dry down review of it. That way I can come back to y'all and give an honest review and unboxing rather than just trying to cram everything in quickly, because as I learned from past experience with doing something similar to this, Paco Rabanne's Phantom Parfum, I did not give that one enough time. I kind of judged that one a little bit too quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this one about an hour, and then I'll get back to y'all. Alrighty, and we are back. So I ended up going out to dinner with my wife, and then we went and ran around town a little bit. So it's actually been about 3 hours later, but before I left, I went ahead and put a couple extra sprays on to get to about that 5 spray range. That way I could kind of give this an accurate, kind of deep dry down review, kind of break down stuff like that. And I must say, if you're an oud lover, this fragrance will be great for you. If you're not a fan of oud, this is not going to be a fragrance for you. It's a little much, even for me. I know my wife, to put it nicely, hates this. She absolutely does not like this at all. And I'm going to be honest, as far as fragrances go, I'm not the biggest fan of this one either. So as it dries down, it does have good performance. As this starts to dry down, it gets harsher as it dries. It doesn't really ever hit like that smoothness. When you first spray this, it actually comes across very smooth. Oddly enough, the opening spray on this is better than the dry down. So when you first spray it, it's leathery, it's a little woody, it's a little warm, it's a little spicy, and the oud in it is strong, but it's manageable. Well, the more it dries down, it almost kind of unblends itself, if that makes sense. So when it dries down to pretty much just a very harsh, leathery oud. And like I said, if you're someone who loves like those hard, like oud leathery type of fragrances, this will absolutely work for you. I just know for me, I'm not big into the oud world. I've kind of wanted to dab in it a little here and there, and I thought this would be the perfect way to do this, because I thought this, being Paco Rabanne, I thought it would be a little sweeter. I thought it would be more of like a sweet oud. And like I said, on this one, they went a completely different direction with it. But, you know, it is what it is. Obviously not every person is going to love every fragrance. And for me, this one, I thought it was worth a try for. I thought it was worth going out there for. And I'll keep some of this. I probably am going to decant about half this out, because I don't see me reaching for this one, honestly, hardly ever. So for me, keeping 100 mils of it might be a little redundant. So I'll probably decant about half of it out. But with that being said, I can get into the performance a little bit of it. So from when I first sprayed this on to right now, it's actually been about 5 hours. The sun's already set. It's nighttime now. It's still very dominant. Like it's still performing good. It's still projecting good. This has a wonderful performance that I can tell so far. So that aspect of it is very good. The sillage on this is pretty good. I could tell by how much distance my wife was trying to put in between me and her. And the projection on this is pretty good as well. So performance-wise, this thing's actually great. Availability-wise, it is going to be extremely limited. So this was more of a Middle Eastern exclusive. I actually got mine from Joma's shop. I want to say I got it for 110. I think when I looked, the prices actually went up a little bit, which is kind of weird because normally they don't fluctuate that much. I think it's 120 now. Retail wise, probably no retailer is going to have this at all. But if I had to give this fragrance a rating, I'm going to be as unbiased as possible. So as far as an oud fragrance, I would probably give this like an 8.5 because this has a lot of the oud natures that if you are someone who loves a fragrance like this, you're probably gonna love it. It's warm, it's kind of woody, it definitely has a lot of leather in there, it's a little spicy on the opening, but just for me and my nose, I'm not a big oud fan. But understanding the blend of this and what they were going for and how this was supposed to be released, for an oud lover, this will probably be really good. Me personally, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10, just because to me this is very harsh. It takes a little while for some of that to die down. I'm about 5 hours in. I can still definitely smell this on my skin. Now, once I hit about that 4-hour mark, it did actually soften up a little bit. It did lighten up a little bit. To me, it actually smoothed out a little bit. Some of that oud really died down. Some of the leather started to show through. It developed a little bit of like a muskiness. If it's a very, very deep dry down, this ain't half bad. But I don't want to have to wear something that is potentially a little headaching, because I'm not gonna lie, after about the 2nd hour, this gave me a little bit of a headache. And I don't know if it's this one in particular or if it's a lot of oud fragrances, but I would say this is probably the only one that would be in my collection that is that oud dominant. I know Aaron Terrence Hughes, a lot of his stuff is 5 or 6% oud depending on which fragrance you get, and his is very sweet, that he uses a special blend of oud that he kind of created. I don't know what oud concentration this is, but there is a lot of woods in here, there's a lot of leathers in here. So it's got a little bit of an animalic feel to it. It's got a little bit of a mineral feel to it. And it's got a very sharp harshness to it. You know, as I said, wearing something for that long to get a decent smell out of it, to me is just, that's not really for me. One thing that I would change about this, and part of the reason why I graded it so low, but just a little bit of sweetening in this, to me, might give it a good edge in the American market. You know, maybe a little bit of benzoin, maybe some tonka, something, maybe something along that line. Maybe a little more amber, you know, something kind of warm this up a little bit, like a warmer sweet. All in all, for what they were going for, being a Middle Eastern exclusive, I think they hit the nail on the head on this one. But compared to some of the other Eastern fragrances I've been able to smell, this one's actually fairly on par. That is kind of a trend that I've noticed with some of those fragrances, is they do tend to be a little bit harsher. They do tend to be a little more stronger, actually. They're very intense. All in all, I kind of feel like they achieved what they wanted to on this one. I don't know why I wanted to try this one so bad. Just for some reason, I was just like, if I was going to try one, I'm going to try that one. I know there's several others out there that's probably better than this. There's probably just as many that's worse than this, but I kind of pick and chose my battle on this one. But with that being said, that is going to be my wrap up on this one. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, for sticking around, for staying tuned, for all the feedback and support and stuff I've been getting. I truly appreciate that, so thank you. Also, if anybody has any recommendations, if they have a fragrance they want me to review, or just anything of that nature, I've started linking an email in the description. It is kotascologne@gmail.com. If you have anything, let's say you want me to bring up in a video, or a fragrance you want me to review, maybe like a list format or something you would like to see or something like that, just let me know and I'll do my best to make that happen and to get back to y'all as quickly as I can. But yeah, that is going to get us wrapped up. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.